Every guitar has a problem. Once I reveal it to you, you won't be able to unsee it anymore. What I'm going to show you will also make everything you learn or do on guitar much easier from now on. You may be somewhat new at guitar, or maybe you've been playing guitar for years, and you may never have realized that the guitar has a built-in hurdle. All guitars share the same flaw, I guess, but you aren't the only one. Everyone who tunes their guitar in standard tuning has to deal with this every time you play. The guitar has what I call a fault line, or the great divide between the third and second strings. And some might think it is a fault, an oversight, a mistake. And when I said fault line, as if the ground under our feet splits open. So what do I mean? You see, the guitar in standard tuning stays consistent until we get an anomaly from the second to the third strings. It's like a rift where a continent splits apart and these two plates shift sideways. Never thought you'd get a geology lesson, right? Well, I liken it to what's happening on your fretboard, and you'll see what I mean. Starting from the sixth string, each string is tuned a fourth apart, meaning if you count up 4 from E in our music alphabet, you get A. And that process continues until you get to our fault line, in between the third and second strings. And then it's tuned a third apart, a major third to be more exact. And that's where things shift exactly 1 fret. So what does that do? Well, it throws everything out of whack, is what it does. It's as if the notes on the second string, where you would expect them to be, are now shifted down by a half step or a semitone, this way. See what I mean by the analogy of the tectonic plates shifting? So now, if you incorporate your second string in anything you do, you have to compensate by shifting over up by 1 fret on that string. Take this E chord shape. I'm sure that many of you know if I move it from this string grouping down to this string grouping, the shape remains intact and you'll now end up with B major chord. But look at what happens when we take that same shape and move it in the opposite direction. It's not A major anymore, is it? It's A minor. Because everything on our second string is tuned 1 fret lower than the other strings. You have to compensate by going in the opposite direction. So that's why this A major chord shape is the way it is. Now let's move the A major shape up to the next 3 strings. If we count up 4, we should have a D chord. But it's not D yet, is it? We have to shift anything on the second string over, remember? So that's why we know this shape as D major. Now that you know, now you know. This sever between the third and second strings is why some guitarists have ditched the standard tuning for what's known as all fourths tuning. You may have heard of some of these guitarists. Stanley Jordan, he taps the guitar with both hands and came to guitar by way of piano, if I have that correct. So that totally makes sense, transferring that consistency from piano to guitar. Also, British guitarist Tom Quayle, a popular YouTuber as well, is widely known to use all fourths tunings as well. Tuning, not tunings, but all fourths tunings isn't for the faint of heart. It may lend itself to playing jazz sometimes, as one example, but not the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, country and bluegrass, or AC/DC, 3 and 4 note chords are doable. But many chord shapes you may already know, like bar chords, will be more or less unplayable in this all-fourths tuning. Knowing this inconsistency that's baked into your guitar will now help you moving forward, like learning the notes of your fretboard. And if you're working on mapping out scales on your fretboard, this will definitely help. If I play a C major scale, and for demonstration purposes, let's do it 3 notes per string. When I get to the second string, my fretting hand has to make a shift up by 1 fret, right here. When I descend the scale, notice I have to shift down 1 fret in order to properly line up for the bottom 4 strings. It's almost as if you have 2 different instruments contained within one. This 4-string instrument here and this 2-stringed instrument here. Armed with this knowledge, you'll know how to deal with this no matter whether it's chords, scales, playing melodies, or improvising. You now know to shift everything by 1 fret. Check out this video on why your guitar never plays in tune, and I show you a way to sweeten the tuning to fix that issue. Click on the video link and I'll meet you there and tell you all about it.